There are moments in life that should never happen. A mother should never have to wonder where her child is. A little girl should never have to feel afraid. And no family should have to wake up every morning, every single morning, asking themselves the same unthinkable question. Where did they go? February 4th, 1998. Tammy Meier was 28. Young, hard-working, doing everything she could to make life better for her daughters. She wasn't rich, but she made sure her girls had what they needed: love, security, a home. Chelsey Gragg was 9, a child with big, curious eyes and a smile that could melt the coldest heart. She loved her mom, followed her everywhere, held her hand like nothing in the world could break them apart. But something did. That evening, Tammy and Chelsey got into their van. No one knows why. No one knows where they were going. But one thing is certain: they never made it back. And just like that, they were gone. At first, people told themselves it was nothing. Maybe Tammy just needed space. Maybe she'd gone on a trip. But days passed, then a week, then 2. The phone never rang. The front door never opened. And that's when the fear set in. Tammy wasn't the kind of mother who just left. Chelsey wasn't the kind of child who just disappeared. Something was wrong. And then, the van. Abandoned in a grocery store parking lot. Not crashed, not broken down, just sitting there, waiting. As if someone parked it, walked away, and never looked back. Inside? Nothing. No clues, no signs of struggle, no hint of where they had gone. It was as if they had been erased. Their family begged for help. They called the police. They made flyers. They knocked on doors. But the world kept spinning. There were no breaking news alerts, no statewide manhunts, just silence. And that silence stretched. Days turned to weeks, weeks into months, until the desert gave up its secret. 8 months later, a hunter walking through the Arizona wilderness saw something half buried in the dirt. Bones, scattered, sun-bleached. Tammy, Chelsey, a mother, a daughter, taken from this world and left to disappear under the sun. And here's the part that will haunt you. No one knows how they died. No bullet holes, no stab wounds, no cause of death. Just gone. Someone out there knows the truth. Someone took them, killed them, left them in the desert. And for more than 25 years, that person has walked free. This isn't just a mystery. This is a crime. A crime against a mother who should have seen her daughters grow up. A crime against a little girl who had her whole life ahead of her. And the worst part, whoever did this, they're still out there. This is the story of Tammy Meier and Chelsey Gragg, a mother and daughter who should have made it home, but didn't, and the case that still haunts Arizona to this day. Some stories break your heart. This one, it rips it right out of your chest, because this isn't just about a missing mother and her little girl. This is about every mother who has ever had a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. This is about every daughter who has ever reached for a hand, only to find it gone. And this is about something far worse than death. February 4, 1998. Tammy Meier had no idea it was her last day on Earth. She woke up like any other mother, tired, overworked, but determined. Because when you're 28 years old, raising 2 kids on your own, giving up isn't an option. There were bills to pay, errands to run, appointments to keep. Chelsey, her bright-eyed, big-hearted 9-year-old, had a dentist appointment that morning. Tammy promised her a treat afterward. Maybe a happy meal, maybe ice cream, a small, ordinary reward for an ordinary day. But here's the thing about ordinary days. You never know when one is going to be your last. By noon, Tammy and Chelsey were seen leaving the dentist's office in Glendale, Arizona. By 3 p.m., Tammy was supposed to pick up her toddler son. She never arrived. By 5 p.m., the phone calls started. By 7 p.m., the worry turned into something sharper, something cold, something sickening. Tammy wasn't the kind of mother who ran late. She wasn't the kind of mother who didn't call. And she sure as hell wasn't the kind of mother who left her child sitting in a daycare waiting for a ride that was never coming. 10 p.m. The house was dark. The driveway? Empty. No car, no calls, no sign that Tammy and Chelsey had ever existed. That's when Tammy's mother knew. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a flat tire. This wasn't a dead phone battery. Something was wrong. She called the police. And then came those words. The ones that every desperate family hears. The ones that turn fear into fury. She's an adult. Maybe she left on her own. Tammy wasn't just some woman who took off. She was a mother. She had kids to feed, a job to work, a son waiting for her. She had a life. And it was impossible to imagine any version of that life where she simply walked away. And yet, by midnight, there was nothing but silence. No Amber Alert, no news crews, no flashing lights. Just a family sitting in the dark, staring at a phone that wasn't ringing, praying for a voice they'd never hear again. And somewhere out there, in the vast emptiness of the Arizona desert, a mother and her daughter were already gone. Because here's the truth. People don't just disappear, not without a reason, and not without a monster lurking in the shadows, making damn sure they never come back. A week. That's how long Tammy Meier and Chelsey Gragg had been gone. 7 days of gut-wrenching silence. 7 days of a mother and daughter vanishing into thin air. No ransom call, no sign of a struggle, no reason. Just gone. Then, on February 11th, 1998, the impossible happened. The van. Tammy's Ford Aerostar, a piece of her life, her routine, her existence, just appeared. A van that should not be there. It was parked in a supermarket lot in Peoria, Arizona. Not hidden, not abandoned in some back alley. Neatly parked. Like someone had just stepped out to grab a gallon of milk. Like Tammy herself had planned to come back. But she didn't. Because whoever left that van there, it wasn't her. It was too clean, too perfect. And inside, there was nothing. No purse, no groceries, no stray toy from the back seat where Chelsey would have sat. No Tammy, no Chelsey. Just the cold, empty shell of a mother's last known whereabouts. And the silence surrounding it. That was the most deafening part. Police approached cautiously. This was the first real break in the case. A week had passed. Maybe, just maybe, there was something inside. Something to say. Here. This is where they went. This is what happened. But when the doors swung open, nothing. No fingerprints. No blood. No signs of a struggle. Like the entire van had been wiped down, erased. Like someone had made damn sure that no trace of Tammy or Chelsey remained. No evidence, no leads, no got it. The desert doesn't give up its dead easily. It holds them, keeps them, lets time strip them down to nothing until they are unrecognizable, until they are just another piece of the landscape. For 8 months, Tammy Meier and Chelsey Gragg had been out there. 8 months. Their names whispered in desperate prayers. Their faces printed on flyers, bleached white by the sun. And then, the desert finally spoke. It was an ordinary morning. Dry, hot, unforgiving. 2 hunters moved through the scrubland near Interstate 17, rifles slung over their backs. This was their escape, a place where the world didn't follow them, where silence was sacred. But that morning, the silence wasn't right. Something was watching. Something was waiting. And then one of them saw it, something pale sticking out of the dirt. At first, he thought it was a rock, then maybe a broken skull from a coyote, left behind by scavengers. But no, this wasn't an animal. This was human. A skull. Tiny. Hollow. The size of a child's. The hunter stumbled back. His throat closed. His stomach lurched. He wanted to be wrong. But deep down, he knew. This was Chelsey. the 9-year-old girl who had once laughed, danced, and held her mother's hand. Now, she was just a skull in the dirt. The police swarmed the area, combing through brush, overturning stones, scouring the desert for more. Because if Chelsey was here, Tammy had to be here too. And she was. 5 days later, more bones, scattered, sun-bleached, picked apart by the unforgiving elements. Only these belonged to a mother who had spent every second of her life protecting her little girl. And in the end, she couldn't, because whoever took them, whoever dumped them here, had made sure of that. No cause of death. That was the first thing the coroner said. No bullet holes, no stab wounds, no shattered bones. Nothing. How does someone kill 2 people, then leave no trace of how they did it? The desert had finally given up their bodies, but it refused to give up their story. And that was the part that kept their families awake at night. Some names haunt investigations. They keep coming up, whispered in hushed conversations, scribbled in detectives' notes, circled on whiteboards like an answer no one wants to say out loud. For Tammy Meier and Chelsey Gragg, that name was John Shunn, Tammy's ex-fiancé, a convicted rapist, a man with a history of violence. And when Tammy and Chelsey disappeared, he was out on parole. Tammy had loved him once, but love doesn't always mean safe. John Shunn was controlling, possessive. He had a temper that could turn a room ice-cold in seconds. And when Tammy finally left him, she left for good. She thought that was the end of it. But men like John Shunn, they don't just let go. Detectives dug into his past. And what they found, it wasn't just disturbing. It was terrifying. He'd spent years in and out of the system, assaults, threats, violence. And then, the big one, rape. A brutal attack that landed him behind bars. But in 1997, he was released, just months before Tammy and Chelsey vanished. He had motive, he had opportunity. But did he have a secret? Police questioned him, pressed him, searched for any link to Tammy and Chelsey's disappearance. But there was nothing. No DNA, no fingerprints, no evidence placing him at the scene. Just a gut-wrenching feeling that he knew more than he was saying. And that wasn't enough. In 2000, John Shunn was arrested again. But not for Tammy and Chelsey. This time, kidnapping, sexual assault, armed robbery, a different victim, a different crime. And yet, it felt the same. Like history was repeating itself, like someone had been too late. Today, John Shunn sits in prison, serving 2 28-year sentences. But for what? For the things they could prove, for the victims they could name. But Tammy and Chelsey? They never got justice. So here's the question that lingers, the one that keeps detectives awake at night. Did Tammy and Chelsey escape his grasp, only to meet another predator? Or did John Shunn simply outsmart everyone? A mother and daughter vanished, a family shattered, and decades later, the silence is louder than ever. Tammy Meier should be watching her children grow, laughing at their milestones, holding her grandbabies. Chelsey Gragg should be a woman now, with dreams of her own, a future her mother fought to give her. But instead, they are just 2 names on a cold case file. 2 people who vanished into nothing. And no one, not the police, not the system, not the people who promised to care, has given Tammy's family the one thing they deserve, the truth. For 26 years, Tammy's family has waited. They've dialed the same numbers, spoken to the same exhausted voices, heard the same tired excuses. No new leads. Not enough evidence. These things take time. Time. Time has already stolen everything. Chelsey would be 35 years old now, but instead, she's forever 9. Tammy would be 54. Instead, she's just a fading photograph clutched in a mother's trembling hands. And the case? It sits there, gathering dust, forgotten, like they never mattered. like their last moments weren't worth solving. But people don't just vanish without a trace. Somebody knows what happened. Somebody walked into Tammy's life that day and never let her walk back out. Theories swirl, whispers behind closed doors. Tammy's ex-fiancé, a man with rage in his fists and a past soaked in violence. At the time of her disappearance, out on parole, free. Did she try to escape his grip one last time, only to disappear forever? Everything about him screams guilt. But the problem? There's no proof, no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing tying him to that desert. Was he just a shadow in her past? Or was he the one who took everything from her? Arizona is a land of endless roads and danger lurking in the spaces between. Truck stops, empty highways, predators waiting for the right moment, no forced entry, no screams, just a mother and daughter gone in broad daylight. Who was watching? Who knew their route? And who made sure they never came home? The hardest pill to swallow. What if it wasn't a monster from the outside? What if someone Tammy trusted knew exactly where she would be that day, knew when she'd be alone, knew when to strike, and knew how to keep a secret? For decades. Tammy and Chelsey's story didn't end in that desert. It ended in silence, in the cracks of a system that failed them, in the hands of someone who has lived, breathed, and walked free. All these years. Someone knows the truth. They've known for 26 years, and they've said nothing. But here's the thing about secrets. They don't stay buried forever. And one day, one slip, one word, one moment, will finally bring Tammy and Chelsey home. Some cases go cold, some names fade, some stories get left behind, but not this one. Because Tammy and Chelsey still whisper in the wind, through the empty halls of a home that never got to hold them again, through the desert night where their voices should have echoed, through the tears of a mother who still waits for an answer that may never come. For 26 years, the world has moved forward. People have grown older. Cities have changed. But for Tammy's family, time stopped on February 4th, 1998. They still set a place for her at the table. They still wonder what Chelsey's laugh would sound like now. They still wake up, hoping today will be the day. The day the phone rings. The day the truth finally shatters the silence. But that day never comes. The hardest part? It isn't just not knowing. It's knowing that somebody out there does. Somebody has carried this secret for more than 2 decades. They have walked free. They have slept in their own bed. They have looked in the mirror and seen the face of someone who knows exactly what happened in those final stolen moments. And they have said nothing. So here's the question. How long can a person live with a secret like that? How many times can they see Tammy's face on the news and not flinch? How many times can they hear Chelsey's name and not feel the weight of what they did? Because make no mistake, secrets don't die. They linger. They fester. And one day, they come crashing down. Maybe it'll be a slip of the tongue. Maybe someone's conscience will break. Maybe justice will finally catch up. But until then, Tammy and Chelsey remain where they have been for 26 years. Not at peace. Not forgotten. Just waiting. If you know something, it's time to speak. Because silence may protect a secret, but it never buries the truth.